We got about 14 minutes or 15 minutes.
Okay. So, are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
So, okay. Mine's about family, so I'll just let you go ahead and talk about, like, expectations, gender roles, or anything particular from here, and you have, like, experience, like, your parents.
Right.
So.
Okay. So my parents, they always like to remind me what it was like back home in the Philippines, what they did to work hard and to get um, their marriage from there to here and build a family from that point. And for the longest time, I thought I had to be the best at everything. I was like very neat, very anal retentive, and I don't know. It was just like keeping up with the expectations that I should do well because this is what my parents worked for. And then when I got to high school, like I guess sort of that independent way of thinking kind of came into play, and of course for college as well. Um, but it definitely helped me shape as an individual. And sometimes my parents and I we would clash with ideas like what I wanted to do for my future, where I wanted to go to school, who I wanted to date. But in the long run, my parents have grown and become better at kind of accepting my choices, and I've also like abided to their rules too, or not rules, but sort of their small expectations in terms of education, future, etc.
Coming from a Caucasian family, the expectations that I guess my mother had was, she was your old-fashioned 50s housewife. She did the apron thing, she'd bake everything fresh, she'd clean the house during the day type of thing. So very, very old-fashioned. So for me, I think she wanted her children to have something better. I have a twin sister as well, and she always wanted us to have a career to work and to be successful and be happy, which is really, really good. But I think at the same time, she was always like, oh, you're dating a boy? That's good. Are you going to get married soon? So there was always that kind of expectation, that idea that I did have to get married on top of a career and then have lots of children and everything. So my gender role was split half and half, to be independent but also still carry that motherhood. I think what's changed coming to college, especially getting more connect with that culture of Asian Americans or Asians in general, was that for me I wanted something a little bit different. My own expectations have changed, and it's clashed with my parents a little bit as far as me wanting to have specific rules on dating and on marriage, and also just really putting my career first above everything else. And that's been a little bit of a hard discussion with my mother on that as well. Because she wants both, but you've really got to, you have to go and kind of compromise with those things, and she doesn't believe in that. She thinks it should be both. Somehow, all at once, 100%. I should definitely have a husband by now. I should definitely be having a kid, but I should be finished with school and have a career already. Don't laugh at me, Rebel.
No, I know. It's just, whoa.
She expects these things. It's not going to happen.
You want me to stop it or just keep it going?
Okay.
Alright.
Mine's kind of like that too. It's religion. So I didn't want to get too personal, but just kind of what are the main religions practiced in the Asian American culture, and then what does your family practice?
Well, in the Philippines, it's majority is Roman Catholic, and then you have your like smaller Christian religions, and then there's actually a small percentage of the Philippines that practices or who are Muslim, and they do practice Buddhism too, but that's like really rare. I was raised Roman Catholic, and my parents were too. Born in Catholic church, I was baptized, First Communion, Confirmation. So I still practice it. Go to church every Sunday, and then just major events. But I'm not really in too deep of my religion. It's because I was raised that way, so that's what I know.
I think for me it's been very difficult. I grew up Methodist technically, And then, as I've said before, religion kind of fell out of favor with my family. They just went general Christian, which was strange. And since coming to college and kind of wanting to connect more with my culture, I've been trying to practice Buddhism for the last year, roughly. Mahayana, which is a much more relaxed. It's very conditional to what I want and my own personal goals and expectations, which has been very flexible and really good for me since I'm still trying to decide what I want to do for the rest of my life and how I want to live that life. I know in the Asian cultures, as I've kind of studied up, is that Mahayana is kind of the more accepted form of Buddhism because it is so flexible, and you can still have possessions. You don't have to shave all your hair off like you do in the monk version of Buddhism, which is mostly concentrated in Thailand and I think Burma, is what I remember. But Mahayana stretches all across all of Asia, including like East Asia and Middle East. But it is, I think, roughly our cultures have converted to Christianity in some form or another. I know in Korea, they pretty much study some form of Christianity, but there's still very glorious statues of Buddha everywhere, just to kind of give them that reminder that it's still there for them if they need it.
That's all I had. I didn't.
All right, mine's on education, and I just kind of want to know, like, if you guys have ever had a hard time getting help from teachers because of being Asian American and having the stereotype of being like the top-notch student and anything like that.
Okay. So Filipino, it's one of the bigger, I would say, Asian American communities, but it's not known as like mainstream Asian. So Chinese, Japanese, Korean, right? So I guess from the way I look, they wouldn't think that I was Asian, and teachers, I guess, they would see me as just a normal student, but I actually did do well growing up in education, so I wouldn't say it was hard. It was just okay, and yeah, I'd be like any other normal student, getting tutoring, getting help from teachers, so it wasn't really a big problem.
I think being of that stereotypical Asian and having those expectations, especially with math and science, I got that a lot back home. But I was kind of average. I kind of expected it. And it was also, the biggest thing was that if I wanted help or anything, it wasn't allowed in my school. It was really strange. Like if I had asked for help or something, they would kind of ignore me or brush it off. So I got a couple of conversations to go with some of my professors when I go back home. But so that was I think that was the worst aspect of it. Only the students expected me to be good at math and science. They would always like hand me their homework and ask questions, and I'm like, go away. But I actually became more of a concentration in English, and from that, there's also been some discrimination. Whenever I say my major is English, which is a concentration in writing, they would say, "Oh, so you want to teach English?" I'm like, "No, no. Just because I'm an English major does not mean I want to teach it. That's not the point." So there's a stigma wherever you go, looking like this, and people having their own thoughts. I know in college and in graduate school, there's been talk that some universities will only accept students into their graduate program who are Asian or Asian American if they have a certain GPA, if they have a certain GRE score, based on the fact that they're Asian. They expect them to be higher. They expect more out of Asians Americans. And I know with the GRE score, they're moving towards putting that on your resume now, which is terrifying. And what employers and what schools want from Asian Americans is we expect you to be better no matter what. So that's going to be a fighting horse among the higher education. Fun stuff.
I think that covered a lot of it that I needed, so.
Maybe any last things somebody wants to add, or maybe anything that you guys would think would be important to that presentation? I mean, we talked about a lot of good stuff, so a lot of insightful things.
I think, yeah. What's the specific question as far as the Asian culture that you want to present to this group?
It's basically just like an overall summary. I mean, we were supposed to try to find like an event or some kind of something that we could go to that we would be putting ourselves and actually experiencing with a different culture. You know, and knowing that we got a hold of you last minute, you know, they're ran out of time with events and everything. But for example, the group that presented today, they did it on the Islamic culture, and they went to, what was it, like a church ceremony?
Yeah.
What was it?
Mosque.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. But they went to like a church type thing, you know what I mean? And they got to experience like and see gender roles that way. So we just, you know, we're kind of elaborating or trying to do what we can with the interviews right here and just learn about the culture and everything. So it's pretty general. Fine based.
I would say one aspect that I kind of found out with the fashion show, which was also part of our week of events. It was supposed to be our biggest event, and it actually turned out really, really well. A lot of people keep telling me that, you know, oh, I love the fashion show and stuff like that. I'm like, that's great. Keep telling people that. But it went very well, despite a location mishap that we had, which we had no control over, State University. But one thing that people kept asking, especially the models, was, what do I wear for the modern wear or the contemporary wear? And I told them, Google it and see. And I started looking at pictures as well. And there's really no difference between what we wear in our kind of a casual leisure wear and what they wear. Sometimes they're a little bit more embellished, brighter colors. They wear the tights with the shorts. Some other kind of different fashion sense. But in general, it's about the same. So I think as far as modern clothing and kind of modern pop culture, we're not that different, especially in like what we wear. So I know a lot of the stigma is when Asians come to Ball State, they wear a lot of heels when they're walking all the way across campus. And that may be true, but as far as the rest of their clothing, it's pretty much the same. So I think it's that idea of cultures being different in one defining aspect is incorrect. And I think that's something that students need to understand, that you can't determine a person by what they wear, how they look, or how they speak. Kind of like the aspect of like the gaydar, that you can't tell if someone's gay or not just by whatever they do. There's more to that person than what you see.
I think that's a good ending note in this. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good, right?
Yeah, I
Thank you.
think so.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you
Welcome.
guys. Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, guys.